Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 144 and a half. My name is John Morgan. Cole Coffey, well, he's stuck doing some video editing, and he was being a weenie and wanted to go home, so he's not with me. But in his place, I've got our good friend Chamatkar Sandhu, who was in Las Vegas this week, working for MMAindia.com, doing good work there. Saw you doing that stuff all week. But we're here at Buffalo Wild Wings, the spiritual birthplace as far as I'm concerned of the MMA Roadshow. And Sandhu, UFC 219, Cyborg versus Holm in the books. Give me your initial reaction, man. Overall, kind of an up and down card, I guess, but finished pretty strong.
You know, it's funny. Earlier in the week, we were talking about this, and hey, it's a 10-fight card. It's so digestible, and I said, unless it turns into a decision fest.
8 decisions.
8 decisions, right? But like you said, it finished so strong, and easily the fight everyone was looking forward to the most was Khabib versus Edson, and I'm gushing, I'm just glowing about. I think like we all are. Khabib's performance tonight was just brilliant. It was excellent. It was dominant. It was just the best performance I think we've ever seen out of Khabib against such a amazing striker,
right.
And a dangerous striker in Edson Barboza. It was the elite of the elite kind of performance from Khabib, and it was just brilliant to see him this week. Come in, look good, take his nutrition and his diet and his weight cutting process seriously. I think it's the best we've ever seen him jumping onto the scales, and then to see a performance like that, and then couple that with some really, really cool moments with Joe Rogan both at the ceremonial weigh-ins and then obviously at fight night. Those kind of clips always go viral, and I feel like now anyone that was hating on him about his weight cut, that's been put to bed.
Right.
You're now reminded of Khabib and what he can do when he's actually active and he's fighting, because that's the one knock against him. We've not really seen him fight that many times in the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And to do it against a lethal striker like Edson Barboza, it just tees up one of easily on paper the best fights the UFC can put together in 2018, and that's going to be Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, normally when we go through these cards, we'll start with the main event and kind of go down the list a little bit, but I think we might as well just start here, and you've touched on a lot of it because, I think it's the fight that most people are most anticipating. I think that it has the most, build off of it. No offense to Cyborg's win, which we'll certainly talk about, but we know there's just not a lot of options available to her, and this is so much more exciting right now. But the performance was amazing. I'd pick Khabib going into this fight. Edson Barboza, a dangerous striker, but Khabib's wrestling is just on a different planet, and I think he reminded everybody that tonight. I think a lot of people, I don't want to say people forgot, but, out of sight, out of mind, right? You got people coming in and putting in great performances, and I think people just kind of forget what it's like when Khabib is on point. I mean, the last thing we saw, I guess, was the Michael Johnson fight where he did get wobbled a little bit. He did get stunned. And I think people probably, I don't know, we talked about it coming into this fight. I feel like public sentiment had, switched on Khabib, where he used to be like, man, this Dagestani dude is unbelievable, to this guy, tiramisu, da-da-da-da-da. But, man, what he did in there tonight was amazing. Tell you what, credit to Edson Barboza, man. Edson Barboza could have quit at any moment in that fight. That round one, I actually only went 10-8 in the first round, so I had a 30-26 card. I think that was a clear 10-8. Don't have a problem with the other ones that were in there, but, man, after that first round, the look on Edson Barboza's face during some of those moments where it was just like, realizing how helpless he was against Khabib. And, man, the way Khabib just takes people to the aggression. I mean, first of all, he's just coming at you right forward. He's getting right in your face. He's not going anywhere. And then the takedown, the way he wraps your legs, man, and kind of triangles the legs and just suffocates you in place. Amazing. Landing shots whenever he can, sometimes big, sometimes not, but just staying busy. Man, just start to finish, phenomenal performance.
Yes, I'm glad you brought up that first round, because at the end of that first round, Edson Barboza looked as if he'd been in a 25-minute war.
Yes, he did.
And he just looked so helpless. And, I genuinely feel like we don't see this enough in the sport. And I brought it up on social media. I brought it up in the post-fight press conference, and that's cornermen using the ability to throw in the towel to protect their fighter from taking unnecessary damage when it's clear he or she is losing the fight.
Right.
And we've seen, the Dos Santos Cain Velasquez fight comes to mind, which was, I think, a much better case of wanting to throw in the towel. But I genuinely thought that, look, Edson's not doing anything, and Khabib's just beating him and pounding on him. Throwing the towel, it's game over. It's done. And credit to Edson for the final round, throwing a few spinning heel kicks, but he tried his best, right? But
even at the end, he's trying to get up till the very end, the last minute. It's very obvious what's going on, and he's desperately trying to get back to his feet and do something. Man, you can't take anything away from Barboza.
100% can't. And he tried, and Khabib's got a chin on him, right? He does have a chin on him, but look, Khabib's now 25-0. Right,
incredible,
unbelievable. To be 25-0 in MMA is just insanely hard. You just don't see records like that at this level. For me, belt or no belt, he is the best lightweight fighter in the world, and I don't take anything away from guys like Tony Ferguson. I take nothing away from Conor McGregor. On any given night, they could beat Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? This is MMA at the end of the day, right? But listen, we're here, we're journalists, we're here to give our thoughts and opinions on what we believe in. Listen, Conor McGregor's been great for us, and I genuinely believe, if Conor McGregor could land that dynamite left overhand or a left hook on anyone's chin, and it's night. I just feel as though, looking at how Khabib performed tonight, the minute he gets you on that ground, it's game over, John.
It is. And it's funny that you say that, because as far as him being the best lightweight in the world, it did cross my mind a little bit. George Garcia, Gorgeous George, he kind of heads up our rankings at MMA Junkie, and then we offer our input and thoughts, but it's kind of his thing. And I did think, such a right. Those three now, and I think Edson Barboza was kind of considered among those top, the top tier. But now that this has happened, that Edson's lost, you got those three: the champ Conor McGregor, the interim champ, and you've got Khabib Nurmagomedov here as well. And you're looking at them as this top tier, that they've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the pack, right? But our rankings have Conor McGregor as the champ first, the interim champ number 2, and then of course Khabib now number 3. But there is a case to be made for saying that Khabib may deserve to jump over them a little bit. You know what I mean? It would seem a bit blasphemous. They had the belts wrapped around, but Khabib's sitting in the post-fight press conference. He's like, these bullshit guys, 25-0 is real champ, not coming in and fighting once in the division and saying you're number 1 in the world at 155 pounds. Khabib Nurmagomedov 25. That is ridiculous, man. And I know you could go back to his early days and be like, who's this guy? But he's 9-0 in the UFC now. This is the real deal.
I'm glad you brought that up. So we've got the official champion in Conor McGregor. We've got the interim champion in Tony Ferguson. And today, Khabib introduced a third championship belt in the lightweight division, and it's the 25-0 belt. I thought that was brilliant. And just the way he conducted himself in the post-fight interview, in the post-fight press conference, it was the longest interview segment.
Over 20 minutes.
Over 20 minutes. There was tons of questions being thrown at him. And it was just great to see him kind of stand there proud of his performance. He's, gave some fantastic sound bites. If anyone,
I'm going to play some of it here in a little bit, so we're going to get to hear some of it.
Okay, awesome.
But because you're dead on, because A, his English keeps getting better and better and better. Yep. So that's a great thing. B, it's funny because it's funny. He's like, I'm not talking trash. When I said I'd beat Conor and Tony in the same night, you guys thought I was talking trash. He's like, I'm being serious. I could go fight it. So it's funny. It's like he's talking trash, but he's like, it's him, because it's not him to get on and be all braggadocio and crazy, but it's the subtle, it's the direct. You know what I mean? I love the way he handled himself. So I think, start to finish, he crushed it. And now that I see that your street tacos are being delivered here, I think that what better time than to just turn it over to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Not going to play the full 20 minutes. I did edit it down a little bit so it's a little bit more digestible on a post-fight podcast. But we'll let you crush your tacos real quick while everybody else listens to Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Muchas gracias.
Khabib, congratulations. I think everybody was pretty blown away by your performance tonight. But how about you? How did you feel you performed this evening?
Hey, what's up, guys? Nice to see you after fight. When I talk about beginning of this week, when I say I can fight with Tony, and after a couple hour, if UFC give me rest, I can fight with Conor. People think I'm trash talking, right? Now I'm just finished fight with one of the best striker in UFC today, right? I fight with him and stand-up wrestling, like 15-minute war, but I still fresh, and I think now I can take one more fight, I feel great. Thank you, guys.
Obviously it had been a long time for you. Did you feel any rust at all? Was it uncomfortable? And what was the feeling as the fight started out?
Before fight, I talked with Javier Mendez. Javier said, hey, you have to focus on fight. You're smiling, you're relaxing. Let's focus on fight. But I told him, I'm focused, coach. Don't worry. I wanna enjoy with this time, because last time I fight November 1 year ago, and I want a little bit enjoy. And between every fight, I improve myself. This is what I'm talking about. And when I go to the cage today, I show how I improve my striking game, my relaxing, because relaxing is most important. When you go to the cage, you have to fight, relax, But you cannot be relaxed if you have if you don't compete with high level guys, like in training, in sparring, you have to fight, with high level guys after confidence is coming, I feel my time is come, Now I'm 29 years old. I feel great everywhere about my power, about my grappling, my wrestling, my striking, and I kick a couple times Barboza too. People think he's gonna kick me. I kick him too. And thank you.
You walked over after the fight was over. You had a moment in the cage, and then you walked over to Dana White and had a brief conversation with him. Can we ask you kind of what you said and what he replied?
After first round, I tell him, hey, Dana, you wanna talk with me? He say, yes, let's go. And I think about, let's do this one more round like this, and after I wanna say to him something. And after second round, I tell him, what do you think about performance? He say, I'm sure you're gonna take this. And I wanna enjoy when I go to the cage. I wanna enjoy. And when I almost take back Edson Barboza, Mark Henry told him, hey, don't give him back. And I told Mark Henry, hey, you're right, don't give me back. I'm a little bit talking too, This is not trash talking. This is real deal, And I enjoy with that. And that's why I do this.
And last thing for me, Khabib, it sounds like you're almost more interested or think that the fight with Tony Ferguson makes more sense right now. But, if Conor McGregor does say, hey, I'm willing to take this fight, I want to put the real title on the line, does that interest you?
Conor need to deserve this. Because real belt is 25-0. This is real belt. Other all fake belts. But to be honest, I think real belt have Tony Ferguson. Conor, he have only one fight in UFC, 155, he champion. He beat all the Eddie Alvarez, he's good fighter, but he's not champ. He's good fighter. I think a lot of people can beat him in 155. This is my opinion. I think a lot of people can beat him. And he have good boxing, good timing, but he don't have wrestling, he don't have grappling, he don't have conditioning, but he have real belt. Because this is not about him, because UFC won this. And he come to lightweight and fight one time, and he's real champ, But this is a little bit crazy, I think.
Hey, Khabib. So this is the first time we get a chance to talk to you since you made the weight. Can you tell us, now that it happened, how the weight cut was? And do you feel that as a result of the weight cut, you performed even better this time around?
Guys, I never have problem with weight cut. My problem is my number one enemy is injuries, because I train so hard. I train so I'm not training like other UFC fighters. I'm training so hard, and my training partners know, like my close people know about this. And last couple years I try to change something, and I think I do this very well. And I changed a lot of things, but I never have problem with weight cut. now I'm healthy. For this camp, I'm coming like my healthiest period ever. You know, like everywhere I'm healthy, inside, like outside, in like knees, back, like everything is healthy. And when I beginning this training camp, I feel good, you know, and that's why I make weight. And when I'm healthy, I always make weight. But now I hope next year I'm gonna stay busy, stay healthy, no injuries, and I wanna fight April, May before Ramadan. After I wanna fight September, and I wanna fight December. This is my plan. I want fight 2018 3 time. If not injuries coming, you know, like I hope, inshallah. Thank you.
Khabib, do you feel at this point that you're now too dangerous for Conor to ever fight you? I know you've been skeptical that he'll fight you in the first place, but does this performance clinch that fact?
I think anybody can lose anytime, you know, nobody protect, you know, all greatest fighters lose, you know. But my plan is when I go to the cage, I never think about, oh, maybe I'm gonna lose. No, I don't think about this. When I go to the cage, I think, oh, I have to catch somebody because I'm the eagle. This is what I'm think. And if I fight with Conor, I think he have chance like about his boxing, maybe couple minutes, I think. But what about if I'm wrestling with him all the time? Don't striking with him. Like protect myself, movement, change angle, like show him takedown box, show boxing takedown, change level, like Ken Velasquez style, you know. But we have a lot of way. I can stay with my opponents. I can wrestling with my opponents. I can grappling with my opponents. My conditioning is better. My relaxing is good. Alhamdulillah, I feel my time is come. You know, to be honest, about Conor, I don't think. Like I don't think about this guy. He have to come back. He have to defend his belt, and you know, I wanna enjoy with my victory tonight.
Hey, Khabib, just real quick, 2 more questions for you right here. So, congratulations. Do you anticipate any trouble getting Tony to agree to a fight? You've said that you don't think Conor's coming back, but do you think Tony will accept a fight with you? He wants to fight Conor, is what he's been saying.
I don't know about these guys. Where is these guys? When I'm injured, they talk too much, but when I'm healthy, I didn't see these guys. I wanna catch somebody, you know, like Tony or Conor, doesn't matter. Or maybe they're gonna fight each other, or doesn't matter. Maybe UFC, if UFC approve, I can fight with this guy same night. I swear, I don't joke. If UFC make this, I can fight same night. I can fight with this guy same night. Yes. Why not? Now I'm fresh. I'm fight with Edson Barboza 15 minutes. You know, and maybe I have to stay humble, you know, but tonight I have to a little bit smash these guys, give these guys back, because these guys talk too much when I'm injured. I don't want to be injured. I don't want to go to the hospital and make surgery, make rehab 4 months. I didn't want this, but sometimes this happen. But when somebody injured, you cannot talk about shit about this, you know. You have to stay humble. You have to stay focused on your job. But these guys talk about me when I'm injured now. Where are these guys?
Well, and that my final question, and I know that you've said you don't think about Conor, you don't really care about him, but if you wouldn't mind answering this question, do you think when Conor sees a performance like you gave tonight, do you think he wants? Do you think he looks at that as a challenge that he wants to meet, or do you think he says, I don't
know.
want that?
You ask me a question about Conor. I don't know what you think he watched or didn't watch. I don't know about this, to be honest. Maybe he watched, maybe not. I'm not fighting for Conor. Watch my fights. I don't know. I always watch my opponents. I watch Edson Barboza last 5 years, you know, and always when I watch, I think about this. Oh, I have to, if I fight with this guy, I have to do this. If I fight with the other guy, I have to do this. I always watch my opponents because this is my weight, you know. I have to I have to follow my opponents, you know. Sometimes when somebody asks me, what do you think about this guy? Oh, I don't know this guy. He fight featherweight or light heavyweight. I don't know. But he's lying, you know. If you're a professional athlete, I know all UFC fighters. I know all UFC fighters. This is not about only UFC fighters. I know all UFC guys who work here. You know, because I'm very big fan, I follow my dream. I'm very interesting about this. sport, everything. He know this too, but he's a little bit cocky. Oh, I don't know. When you ask him, oh, he featherweight or lightweight, I don't. But he know this. I don't want to be like him. I watch his fights. I watch all fights other my opponents, and we'll see. 2018 is gonna be big year for us. Very big year, inshallah.
All right, so Khabib Nurmagomedov has spoken. Sandhu has crushed his tacos. The world is good. Sandhu, let me ask you. All right, a lot to think about, and this may be one question, it may be two questions. But what's next for Khabib Nurmagomedov, and how does this shake out? And the reason I say maybe it's one, maybe it's two, because do you feel like there's something that looks likely to happen versus something that you'd prefer to happen? Or, I mean, how should this shake out? Because we've got this trio of top-level guys at the top, and we got to figure out some way to get rid of having 2 belts, or 3 belts if you like the 25-0 belt. We got to find some way to get this settled. So how do you think it should play out, and does that differ than the way you think it will play out?
Look, ideal world, if Conor McGregor was to come back tomorrow and make a commitment and say, I'm going to fight in MMA in the next 3 or 4 months, you've got to book Tony Ferguson versus Conor McGregor, because Ferguson's earned the right to fight McGregor.
That's true.
He's the interim champion. I mean, even though we've had this thing going on for the last year or so about interim titles and things of that nature, it's got to mean something. That's your golden ticket, right? Now, that being said, if McGregor's not going to come back until the summer, I think the right thing to do from the UFC's perspective is to strip Conor of the lightweight championship belt. You, by default, make Tony Ferguson the lightweight champion, and you book Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib wants to fight in around April time. They've attempted to make this fight a few times in the past. There's obviously history there.
Yep.
Great story, great drama. I agree with what you said prior to this segment with regards to McGregor, Ferguson, and Nurmagomedov. Just they've broken away from the pack.
Right.
I would protect Khabib. If Conor and Tony Ferguson fought in the first half of the year, hold on to Khabib.
Just to be hang out with.
Hang out,
Yep.
chill. You're the next guy in line, and it's going to be for the belt. That's locked in.
Right.
But everything that we're hearing right now, and just reading between the lines, it doesn't look like Conor McGregor's going to come back until maybe the summer.
Right.
Right. So let's do this damn thing. Let's do Tony and Khabib, man. That's a mouth-watering prospect,
I love
right?
it.
Like, dude, like right now, like what's on deck right now for Q1, nothing is beating Ngannou versus Miocic.
No, absolutely not.
That is just easily the most anticipated heavyweight title fight in years,
No
right?
question.
But
This
you
is
put
pretty damn close, though.
yeah, right. You put that to the side. Tony versus Khabib, bro.
Ugh. I love it, man. I love it. I think you're right, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. Exactly how it should play out, and I'm okay with that scenario. You know what I mean? I think that makes sense. It's that simple. If Conor wants to wait till the summer, cool. Then we do the other two in the spring. If Conor wants to fight in the spring, then yeah, go ahead and unify the titles first. I think you're dead on. So hopefully it plays out that way. Hopefully, Khabib stays healthy, stays injury-free. I mean, he said it. Look, I train different than other people. That's my biggest problem is that, that I have to keep myself healthy. So, fingers crossed, man. But lightweight is exciting, man, and Khabib is a monster. All right, since we started with the co-main, let's go to the main. Cris Cyborg, or just Cris Cyborg now, picks up the win. Unanimous decision win over Holly Holm. Good fight, man. A really, really good fight. A fight that I actually scored 4 rounds to 1 for Cyborg. I gave Holly Holm the second round. I don't think I really have a lot of problem with the 48-47 cards because, Kevin Iole was sitting next to me. He gave Holly Holm the first round and gave Cyborg the last 4. So he had the scorecard the same, the totals, but, he gave the first round instead of the second. I gave the second instead of the first. So if you see judges, if it's that close, the judges say, well, I gave them both to her. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And it's weird because, I really do feel like Cyborg was in control of the second half of this fight and really kind of separate. I think she was being very, very patient to open. I think she knew, look, I'm probably not getting Holly Holm out here as easy as everybody else that I've dusted. I need to be ready and sure that I can go 25 minutes. I think that probably contributed to a little bit of a slow start. Don't take anything away from Holly Holm, though. I mean, obviously, she was doing good, darting in and out of range, avoiding the counters early on. But as time wore on, I feel like a couple of things happened. Number one, Cyborg started to realize, okay, I'm feeling good. I can put my foot on the pedal a little bit and speed things up. And I do feel that she really kind of had Holm's timing. Holm has the combinations that she throws, and I think Cyborg at that point kind of knew what it was. I think she was content to counter early on. Then later Cyborg decided I'm going to go ahead and pressure as well. But I feel like Holly was landing a little bit. I mean, Cyborg was busted up. She was bleeding from the nose a little bit. We saw her at the post-fight press conference. Holly did some damage, but it's like Cyborg was just willing to take some of those straight shots to land those big, powerful hooks that she has. So, I don't know. Overall, I thought it was a fun fight. It was really good. It's funny. We mentioned that, this fight didn't have a whole lot of hype around it. And I think it's the year-end time. It's difficult. But it did feel pretty special as they were walking in. You realize, like, damn, these two, like, legends of the women's game, so to speak, two of the most decorated ever to do it, are facing off against each other. So, overall, I really, really enjoyed this fight, but I feel like the right person definitely won.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a chess match. And I love those kind of fights. Sometimes, labeling a fight a chess match is just a nice way of saying, like, a fight that could be borderline boring.
Right.
It needs to have some sort of like, upper class kind of like, eyes to appreciate what you're witnessing in the cage, right? But this was a genuine chess match because, so what were the questions coming in? Right. What happens if Cyborg goes to the fourth and fifth round, right? She went the full 25 minutes. And like you said, and I agree with you, I felt as though she was getting better as the fight went on. It's funny that you mentioned, exchanging scorecards with Kevin Ioli, because I actually scored the first round for Holly Holm. And then I scored 2, 3, 4, and 5 for Cris. Right. I just think it was a great performance. I think Cris is in a great spot now with the UFC. She's a defending champion. Things seem to be great now and harmonious with Dana White and the organization. Like I said before, this is what she wanted. They were trying to book her, from what I've been told, for the New York card. And she was essentially kind of saying, I'm not ready yet. But also there was a part of her that wanted to kind of have her own event without a second or a third title fight.
Right.
And like I said, we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks, right?
We'll see the numbers.
We'll see the numbers. We'll see what her and Holly Holm together were able to do. There's lots of parts of the country where the weather's pretty crap right now.
So maybe they were stuck and needed a little entertainment?
Yeah, maybe people were at home and said, hey, you know what, let's catch the UFC card. Now, what's interesting about with Cris Cyborg is where she goes from here, right? You've got, obviously, the opportunity to match her up with Megan Anderson. That's an option. Amanda Nunes has expressed interest in going up to 145. And if I'm the promotion right now, right, given the fact there's not exactly a plethora of 145 females to work with in terms of matching them up against Cris, dude, take Amanda Nunes and Cris Cyborg to Brazil, right? I know that kind of like, puts the 135-pound weight class kind of on hold for a bit. I just feel like, you know what? You can make an exception here. It should, 2 female Brazilian champions in Brazil. I'm thinking soccer stadium. What do you think? Am I too far away from something like that?
No, here's you're definitely right. Brazil does have this thing where they don't really like having Brazil face off against Brazil. But I think everybody's kind of like that to a degree. But you're talking about such a unique, super fight. I think they would be okay for it. I think they'd definitely sign up for it. Cyborg is huge down there. Amanda Nunes, I don't think quite is a superstar yet down there, but Cyborg definitely is. I think they could do that. The thing that I kind of buy into is the Megan Anderson angle that Cyborg sold tonight, which is like, listen, and I think it's important to know that she said, I'll face whoever they tell me to fight. If they want me to fight Nunes, so I can see some people saying, she doesn't. But for her to say, listen, I want to grow the division. This is a legit 145er. You know what I mean? Let's do it. And she even said, and I want to go do it in Australia. And I was like in 6 weeks? There's no. But thankfully she was like, no, not 6 weeks. But maybe we could do it later. Now they are going to go back to Australia. I don't know if they'll go back with another pay-per-view. And I doubt they want to put her on a fight night card. So that might not work out. But I like the fact that she's at least saying she's willing to go to Australia and fight Megan Anderson. And I do kind of like it. Now, the Amanda Nunes fight, I had heard that, they were trying to put that together for this card.
Wow.
And it just didn't work out. And that's, they ended up getting home. And that was a great option. As a quote-unquote backup plan, it was the original plan. Then they had to go away from it. So when I heard that instantly, as weird as it sounds, I wanted to see the Nunes fight more than I wanted to see the Holm fight, even as decorated as Holm is, just because I thought, well, let's do champion versus champion, not former champion moving up. So I wanted to see it more. But now that it's over, I don't know. I'm kind of siding with Cyborg in the fact that this is a legit 145er, maybe that's the fight you do first. I don't think there's a lot of fights for Amanda Nunes that I would feel like I'm losing by her moving up right now, because I don't think there's a clear-cut number one contender where you're like, dude, that's the fight I got to see. So it doesn't bother me, but I don't know. In a weird way, I kind of even though I said openly I wanted to see the Nunes fight before, now I kind of want to see the Anderson fight.
Yeah, I think with Anderson, you know, I can't remember from the top of my head, but I think it's been a while since we last saw her fight.
Yeah, it has.
Right? So I think if you do Cyborg and Nunes and you put another fight together, maybe on the same card, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the main card or the undercard, just to kind of build her. I don't think a lot
It's
of
not a bad idea.
build her profile up a little bit. I think there's a large segment of the UFC fan base that perhaps doesn't know her story, her background, or doesn't really connect with her and know her because, like I said, it's been a while since she last fought. And you put that on the same fight as Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes.
That's not a bad idea.
You know what I mean?
Because she hasn't even made her UFC debut yet.
There you go.
You know, it was January, so it's been almost a full year since we've seen her fight. That's not a bad plan. I guess here would be the other benefit, though. As I think about it, maybe you could do a fight night card if it was Anderson and Cyborg, because you know Anderson hasn't fought in the UFC yet. People don't know who she is yet. I mean, maybe you could do a fight night headliner with her.
Big Fox.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But your idea is good because, you know, Megan Anderson, the general public doesn't know who she is yet. So maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea, having the Nunes fight and then have her, not even necessarily in a co-main, but just a main card slot or something like that against somebody else so people know who she is.
Here's a third option, and it's something that I asked Chris about in the post-fight press conference. So Zuffa boxing is apparently a real thing, John, and it's coming around the corner. Dana White wants to get into the boxing world and promote boxing fights. You know, could you perhaps take Cyborg? And this is one of my bold predictions for 2018. Is Zuffa boxing happens, we get a couple of events to kind of start things going in 2018, and like my bold out there prediction is one of the fights or one of the events that Zuffa boxing puts together uses a current UFC champion. And I think with Cyborg, what you could do is, maybe do the Clarissa Shields fight in a boxing match. You protect her MMA resume because it's not an MMA fight, right? It's like I said, there's not a plethora of 145ers out there to kind of match her up against right now. It's kind of a weird situation. We're talking about taking the bantamweight champion and maybe making a move up so that we've got a compelling fight for Cyborg. If you put her in a boxing match, it gives you some time to maybe build up a Megan Anderson, right? Maybe build a whole division, buy the Invicta division or something like that, right? And you're using Cyborg and you're putting her perhaps in front of new eyes, and you're kind of building her stardom and building into what you want in terms of a pay-per-view blockbuster and box office attraction. So it's a little out there, I know. And listen, we've just come off this year where crossover and MMA boxing, I think everyone's just exhausted with it, right? But listen, at the end of the day, we're heading into this new TV deal. We know that the UFC's kind of event schedule is going to be part of it, but maybe they're protecting Zuffa boxing and keeping that in the back pocket for perhaps UFC Fight Pass offering or another revenue stream for them. I don't know, right?
No, it's not a bad idea. I do still feel like I don't have a firm grasp on what Zuffa boxing is supposed to be. And even Dana himself has said, well, I'm looking at two different models, and I got to decide which it was. I guess we should say Dana White did not come to the post-fight press conference tonight. From our understanding, he was just feeling a little bit under the weather and didn't feel like coming and talking tonight. He's also going on vacation, so maybe he decided, F it, let's just start a little bit early. Or maybe he just didn't want to have to come answer Conor McGregor questions. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why he may not have gone. I
did actually walk past him, and we kind of said hi to each other on the way back into the arena, and he looked to be in good spirits, John.
Okay, well, hey man, sometimes he's putting on a game face. You know what I mean? He was sick on the inside.
That's exactly right.
Sick on the inside. All right, well, let's do this. Let's hear from Cris Cyborg after her win. We got a few minutes of her at the post-fight press conference and see what she thinks should be next.
Cyborg, congratulations on your victory this evening. Obviously, it was a very fantastic fight. What did you think about your performance in there this evening?
This camp I work a lot of patience. I knew how to very experienced, but I was not also so tough, but have a lot of experience. And I touched her. I saw she's feel the punch, but she's moving around, moving a lot, and I'm really happy. I work a lot of patience, and I do the right thing. We work with my team. And you work a lot of things too, but the takedowns too, but I feel like she's sweeping. I cannot touch her because it's sweat. But I think we did an amazing fight. I'm really happy because I know for you to do a great fight, I have to have a good opponent, and she did it very well.
you talked about being patient. The rounds that she won were the first 2 rounds. I'm just curious, as the fight was playing, I mean, did you know I've got to pace myself and go 5 rounds, or do you credit that to her and what she was doing?
I really train for fight 5 rounds. Everybody have a question. I don't know if she's gonna have a cardio for this. I can do 10. I feel very great in there, and I have a very nice cut weight. I don't have tough time, and I'm really happy with my team. We did an amazing job, and I was happy for 5 rounds. All my team say, Chris, you have 5 rounds to finish the fight. You don't need to rush. You have to see the opportunity.
We're not used to seeing you bleed. We're not used to seeing you busted up a little bit. I wonder, a fight like this, do you feel it's almost a good thing for you to be pushed and to be tested and for people to see this side of you?
When I saw first time my nose bleed, and then in the training with hard guys, and then when I see that, I say, water, let's keep going. And I really enjoy the time. We were training really hard, and I'm really happy to have this fight great.
And last thing for me, I know you want to enjoy your win tonight, but we always want to know what's next for champions. It sounded like you said Megan Anderson in Australia is the fight that you want. A, are you suggesting you could fight in Perth in 6 weeks? Is that the Australia card you're talking about? And B, also, we're hearing about Amanda Nunes, that she wants to challenge you. So if that's the case, would you prefer that fight?
I always said I don't know to fight somebody Brazilian because of but if she want to fight me, I fight anybody with Dana White put in front of me. I'm a fighter, and I have to fight who put in me. But I'm saying about Meg Anderson because she's 145 pounds, and I would like my division growing. If we're growing, you need to invest. You need to put the girls 145. And I think she's in the line for fight for the belt. And because that.
Could you do it in 6 weeks, though?
I don't know. My hand really hurts now because her head, the heart, very, very hard. And I don't know in 6 weeks, but, but a little bit.
So 2 of the judges gave her the first 2 rounds, meaning on both of their scorecards, it was even going into the 5th. Does that surprise you?
I was when they tell the numbers that I really don't hear, but I need to have to watch the fights, for make sure what happened. But I know maybe she touched me more me, but no damage, no damage. I will see her face, her eye closing, I saw her face, but I have to watch the fight again for make sure if then right or not.
Would you say this was the most competitive fight of your career?
I think really tough. I think there's more. I think the first fight I did 5 rounds with her. And I think she's tough. She did amazing. And yes.
Would you say this is the greatest win of your career?
I don't know. I think I have a long time. Yeah, still. I'm not retired after that. Maybe I have 3 more years and still more fights.
Do you think this cements you as the greatest female fighter of all time?
Me?
Yeah.
I never think like that. I leave my fans think about that. I just have to keep training, keep learning, because the girls are gonna beat me, and I have to be ready.
And you mentioned Megan. Obviously, she's had some problems fighting. Are you privy to any information? Are you aware? Is she able to come back? Is there anything you can tell us?
I don't know. But it's a long time she have issues. Maybe she's be ready now. I don't know.
Okay, and last one for me. Your weight cut seemed to go very well. Your team said it went very well. What was the difference this time?
I don't know. I just trained with same. I'm training for make 140. I was training hard for make 140. I just say, man, let's train like make 140, because I knew maybe this fight is gonna be 5 rounds, and I don't have any problem to cut weight and don't feel great there. And then I was just training same. I training for make 140, and I have hard cut. Nice.
Much of your career, people said you were just so much bigger than stronger than everybody else that you blew them away with your physical strength. But tonight you won the fight with your technical skills. Does that mean more to you than just going in there and blasting somebody with the right hand and seeing them fall down? The fact that now people are going to acknowledge you for the skills that you have as opposed to just your strength?
I never think to be a fighter. I like a lot of sport before 12 years old. I think God gave me a gift, the one heart, hero heart, like to fight. And then for be better at everything, because I'm training. I'm getting better because I train really hard. It's not just because of gift, but I train really hard. And I think tonight, I just show why I'm getting work on. I'm better. And Holly, because she's giving me more challenge. Because most girls I punch and finish the fight, and I cannot show too much. But I really train hard. I train every day. Everybody when my camps tell me, Chris, stop training. You're gonna be overtraining. And because I really want getting better every time I fight.
Hi, Chris. Congratulations
Thank you.
on your win tonight. the first thing I want to ask you about is Amanda Nunes. Would you be open to fighting her, either at a catch weight of 140 or perhaps at 145 for your belt?
No, just 145. No anymore. 140. I feel great. 145. This is my division. I fight for, and then just 145.
But you're open to fighting Amanda, yeah?
Yeah, I open to fight anybody.
And in regards to defending your belt and the next time you fight for the UFC, would you perhaps like to headline a pay-per-view in Brazil? They go to Brazil a few times a year.
I would like to go to Brazil. I think all fans are gonna love, and then the fans, the full number one, after the United States, love UFC, and it'll be amazing.
All right, so Cris Cyborg feeling good after being tested, being pushed. I thought Holly fought well. I didn't necessarily understand what she was trying to do with the clinch position a lot of times. I feel like she got there a lot but never did much with it. Maybe she was just trying to slow things down and get a chance to catch her breath and kind of wear on Cyborg a little bit. But overall, I thought Holm fought well. And honestly, I think this is good for Cyborg. To see her pushed and tested like that, as you said, answer some of those questions that we haven't seen asked of her before. I like that, man. I think that does nothing more but build her up. If she goes in there and just smashes Holly Holm, maybe that would be good too. But I don't know, this answered a lot of those questions. So we finished the card strong, man. The main and co-main were strong. The rest of the card, we had some peaks and valleys. Dan Hooker picked up a submission win over Mark Diakiese. Fight was not good. It was not entertaining. I get it. It was a chess match.
That's going to be our new thing, right?
It was a chess. Now, it was a little bit slow, but I get it. I mean, listen, Mark Diakiese is so dangerous and so, scary, at times. I get being a little bit cautious and that sort of thing. But the first two rounds were just not incredibly entertaining by any stretch of the imagination. But we did get a finish out of it with the guillotine choke win. Kind of a bizarre one in the fact that, Mark Diakiese came out in the third round and I thought was trying to, really take it to it. He finally opened up, right, which was exciting to see, and then ended up kind of backfiring a little bit because he's moving forward. Dan Hooker catches him with a low kick, and it's like, I don't know if Mark was intending to shoot forward or if it was just because the leg kick knocked him off balance and he just kind of toppled forward, but he ends up going for basically what's like a lazy shot. And I was, of course, cage side. I didn't get to hear the audio, but somebody hit me up on Skype, and somebody on our staff was like, he was literally being told in the corner, don't shoot. I don't want to see any takedowns at all. And he ends up shooting. And again, I don't know if it was really meaning to her because that leg kick kind of toppled him forward. But regardless, Dan Hooker grabbed the choke, choked him out. Good finish for Dan Hooker. It kind of negated part of the first two rounds being not so entertaining. But, you as a Brit for the time being anyway, before you become a Canadian very soon. I know Mark Diakiese is a guy that everybody was hype on, and now a couple of losses and a rough performance here tonight. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, first of all, Dan Hooker, he's a roadshow favorite. I know,
yes, what I mean? He is.
Yeah. And I think
I picked against him though. I feel bad.
Did you?
I feel bad. Diakiese's just scary, man. But,
yeah, I know,
but he
right?
got it done.
Look. The kind of question on Dan Hooker coming into this fight was inconsistency. He just couldn't put a run of wins together. He'd win one, he'd lose one, he'd win one, he'd lose one. And when we spoke to him backstage, I think now he's comfortable, returning to lightweight, and he's been around for a while, and he's had his fair share of losses, and he's kind of, I think now from his perspective anyway, he's starting to put things together. Really happy at that weight class. Yeah, for Mark, it's a bit of a bummer because, before coming into the UFC, he had all this hype, highlight reel knockouts, and, the last couple haven't gone his way. He's now suffered 2 back-to-back losses for the very first time in his career. We were kind of talking about how the first loss was going to affect him, and would he be a little, gun-shy, or how would he approach this fight mentally, strategically,
looked like it.
Right? And it was kind of interesting because I thought his face-off with Hooker at the ceremonials was one of the more tastier ones,
yes,
where
it was.
Mark was the one that was kind of really coming forward and kind of almost saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna give you what I've been giving, for the last 3 or 4 years. Forget my last performance. That was nothing. That was one bad night in the office type of thing." But it's now 2 bad nights in the office for Mark Diakiese, and there's a London card coming around the corner in March. That would certainly be a good card to kind of rehab him.
Yeah, I think he's probably feeling fine. I think he'd be ready to fight by then.
Yeah, home field advantage. You get the home crowd support. Matchmaking. Well, You don't want to send him to the killers just right now. He's still young, got a lot to learn.
He is.
And hopefully he can take a positive look at the last couple of performances and figure out what he needs to do, whether it's psychological, whether it is adding to his overall MMA game. We know he's an amazing striker, flashy, powerful. Maybe he needs to start putting some more time into the ground game.
Yeah, it's funny. I think what swayed me towards picking Mark was the fact that he's full-time at American Top Team now, and I was like, man, his first career loss, now he's full-time at ATT. Like, oh, this is setting up for him to get kind of a redemption story going on or whatever. But good for Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker said, 6 weeks from now, there's a fight in Perth. I want to get on it. It was funny because the crowd was not loving the fight, and, he gets on the mic, and he's like, I want to be in Perth. Like, who wants to see me fight again? Boo! I was like, oh, that sucks. Sorry, Dan. That was rough. So, yeah, my apologies for picking against the Hangman. I'm glad he is a roadshow favorite, and I'm glad he got the win. But my picks have kind of sucked this year anyway. I finished the year 6th out of our 10 staff members, which is pretty disappointing. But in June, I was in last place and below 500. I was having the most horrible year ever. So
it's been a bit of a chess match for you this year as well.
It's been a chess match early on, but I'm glad I got it. All right, Carla Esparza picked up the win over Cynthia Calvillo, giving Calvillo the first loss of her career. I gotta say, I'm not gonna lie, I scored this fight for Cynthia, and I gave her rounds 1 and 2. I also will not lie. I seem to be in the minority in that. I saw a lot of people that whether it be because they don't like Calvillo's actions or whatever it is, I mean, like, they were adamant, like, she didn't even come close because she after the fight, she yelled, like, this is bullshit. I won the fight, and she was walking by press row when she said it. She really wasn't saying it to us. She was just kind of, like, yelling. I posted that on Twitter, and everybody's like, no, she didn't, she's an idiot, da-da-da-da-da. So I seem to be kind of in the minority scoring it for Calvillo as far as I can tell. And I don't want to take away from Carla because Carla fought well. I mean, using her speed, moving it out, striking a lot more than I thought we expected. I think anybody that thought she was going to win thought she was going to use her wrestling. But the crowd also had it for Carla, especially because they cheered loudly when she won. Cynthia Calvillo left the cage and kind of like held up a finger, like wagging, like, no, that wasn't the real score, whatever. And the crowd booed her, which was hilarious because it was during the middle of Carla Esparza's like speech. So she's like, why the hell are they booing me, So it's kind of just a weird thing. But, listen, Cynthia Calvillo's, we've talked about it, her inexperience was going to catch up to her at some point. She's only been professional for, less than a year and a half at this point, which is insane to think about. That she's fighting a former champion. It's very competitive. She comes up a little bit short. It was I don't know. It was a fight that I feel bad sometimes when I score it the other way. I don't know how I could sit here and be like, well, Carla did great. I mean, I did think she fought a good fight, and it was close. I don't want to call it a robbery by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it.
So it was pretty relentless backstage tonight. It was just interview after interview, special guests, post-fight, winners coming through, and it was just absolutely non-stop. So unfortunately, I can't actually weigh in on scoring the fight because I didn't really see much of it. You catch a glimpse here, you catch a glimpse there, but I remember
Kokov who told me you guys were getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, it was like non-stop backstage, which is it's good because and we could talk about that a little bit in terms of who came backstage and some key highlight moments there, but. When I saw the end of the fight and, the referee just waiting to announce or raise the hand of the winner, Cynthia was, so confident that she'd won the fight. She was already kind of like celebrating, and I'm like, oh, okay, it looks like she's pretty confident,
right.
That she's got the nod here. And then when Carla was announced the winner, I thought, oh, wow, okay. Because the few glimpses that I saw, it was a very competitive fight.
Right.
It wasn't exactly, a one-sided affair for either fighter. But, look, you know what? A lot of people were counting out Carla. They were thinking, you know what? She was the inaugural champion, lost it to Joanna. And everyone's been on this, Cynthia Calvillo hype train. She's looked great in such a short amount of time. She's obviously a Dana White favorite. She's getting the promotional hustle and muscle put behind her by the UFC. And I was picking her to win this fight. I'm not going to lie to you. And I guess it's just amazing about this sport because Carla Esparza, I think, was kind of like saying, you know what, don't doubt me, guys. Don't doubt me. I'm still here. I'm still improving. I'm a veteran of the sport. I've been around for a while, and she's kind of derailed the Cynthia Calvillo hype train for the time being, at least. I think for Cynthia, again, like we were talking about Mark Diakese earlier on, this is her first loss of her career. It may not be the worst idea in the world to kind of just relax a little bit. Maybe take 6 months out where you can just focus on your game and improve, because she's fought so much and so often in such a short amount of time, right? But look, she's still going to be around. I still think she's a future champion in that weight class.
She's scrappy, and they finished strong, man. They had a fun fight. She's definitely got an edge to her, man. She was not happy. So good. I mean, listen, it was a fun fight. Again, the way it ended with him just throwing down in the center of the cage was a lot of fun. It was a big win for Carlos Esparza. Neil Magny picked up a big win over Carlos Condit, taking the unanimous decision. I picked Magny coming into this fight. And it was funny, I had somebody hit me up on Twitter that was like, shame on you for picking against Condit. I'm like, I know, I kind of can't believe I'm doing it either. But, we talked about going in. Condit's had his struggles. And, yes, maybe, Neil is a step below those names, but he's a tough fighter. And he's been active, you know what I mean? It's not easy to fight the way, Carlos Condit taking the long layoff on a tail end of a long career and then to come back and beyond. And Condit was great in this fight, man. I thought his striking, as you would expect, probably started off a little slow, started to come together a little bit afterwards, as he kind of, gained the rhythm and got used to that, fight speed. Neil Magny had several takedowns, but Condit was dangerous off his back, a lot of good submission attempts. So, Carlos, I didn't think fought poorly. I think he fought well. I think Neil Magny was just a little bit better tonight. And, I'll be interested to see what Carlos does from here, whether he wants to fight again. He said, he didn't necessarily say he was looking at it as he had to win to keep going, but, said he wasn't really sure what the future held, and then to come up short against a guy like Neil Magny, might deter him from going otherwise. But big win for Neil Magny, and I guess, more so than just the performance was kind of what happened backstage, right? I mean, the guy, I guess I'll let you tell it, but basically we end up finding, as he's celebrating and having a good time, that he's ended up enduring a tragedy 2 months ago.
Yeah, his brother passed away, and none of us knew that. And it was kind of a weird situation because he kind of brought it up himself, and you can always tell when someone wants to release. Mm-hmm. And it just happened in October, so this is pretty raw and fresh, and it kind of stunned all of us backstage. And it was kind of a weird one. Like, do you prod and probe? Do you ask a few follow-up questions? And he was tearing up, and no one really did kind of push on it too much to find out some details there. And it kind of caught us all off guard a little bit, and it was really unfortunate to hear what he's been having to deal with and go through. And to be honest with you, if considering now knowing what he's had to go through, to still come out and put on a performance like that against a legend. Mm-hmm. Let's face it, Carlos Condit is got legendary status. He's a marquee name. This is a massive win for Neil Magny, a signature win. And we were talking about this a little bit on the preview show. Neil Magny was basically saying, I've been waiting a long time to fight Carlos Condit, right? And so to finally get that fight and to finally win, you can never kind of, I suppose, replace another human being, a brother, a friend, a family member, right? But for him, to come out here, end of the year show, and get a win, maybe him and his inside that's he's probably thinking that's from a brother,
No doubt.
And like you said, going back to just the kind of performances, I'm a firm believer in ring rust or cage rust, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And taking out 16 months, coming off losses, and Carlos Condit, we just didn't know how to take what he was kind of giving to us, or we didn't know what we were going to expect. And I honestly don't know what you do with Carlos Condit moving forward. Does he want to fight again? We don't know the answer to that question. If he does, what do you do? Maybe you put him with another, marquee name. Do you maybe just do him and Robbie Lawler? Let's forget the top 10,
those are names.
Killers.
Those are names like the Diaz brothers.
Yes.
There's guys that have names where it's just like, dude, it doesn't matter
just fun
what the
fights.
win streak, the lose streak. It doesn't matter. You can put him up against anybody. I completely agree with that. Yeah, Carlos Condit has earned every right. There was nothing I saw in Carlos Condit tonight where I thought, there are times where you see a person fight and you go, oh man, don't do it anymore, bro. It's obvious, but I didn't see that. You know what I mean? I was impressed with Carlos Condit. Just Neil Magny's a tough dude, man, and he turned on. So listen, I did want to play. It's short. Magny doesn't talk a lot. It's funny, his interviews. He's very quick. He's very to the point. He speaks quickly. He doesn't speak in overly long sentences. So I wanted to go ahead and play that so you can hear, just because you can hear the emotion in his voice. It's tough what he had to deal with. And again, as you said, Sandhu, nobody knew as far. I had not heard anything about this, and it was kind of a crazy scene.
Congrats, Neil.
Thank you.
Was that the Carlos Condit that you were expecting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going into this fight, I definitely thought it would be a close fight. I knew we would go strike for strike, submission for submission, so I definitely expected it to be a super close fight. That first round, let me see that the wrestling was the only way I can break away in this fight and start getting an advantage, so I ran with it.
Did you expect him to be any more aggressive?
You just never know. I mean, it's been a while since he's fought last. He had plenty of things he was working on. I thought that what he's worked was more grappling related, just based on how he fought today. He might have wanted to go out there and showcase his grappling.
Were you happy with your performance against him?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with it. There were some things I could have definitely done better, but overall, I'm happy with the performance.
Like what?
So one thing I didn't like was my striking. I could have been a little more active with it and pushed forward a little bit more, but at the same time, being a little cautious not to get caught being too aggressive.
Were you surprised at all by the way he fought? Did he seem like he was rusty at all? Because, I mean, you followed his career. You know something about him.
No, not at all. I mean, he went out there and he put on a great fight. I don't think the fight was as clearly decisive as it was. I think the biggest thing with the takedowns was separated the fight, but he seemed like normal college count to me. He went out there trying to put it on.
You seem to catch the low kick a lot. Is that something you knew was coming, or is that something you just reacted to in the fight?
So that's something I knew a lot of guys were game planning against me. I mean, since the Res Larkin pointed out, everyone's been attacking that lead leg. So if I were fighting me, I'd kick the hell out of that front leg too. So I expected that would be something that his coach put in his game plan.
Where do you think this will take you now?
I have no idea where this takes me now. I mean, I'm waiting for the phone calls to come in Monday morning and see who's next.
How are you going to celebrate this big win?
Oh man, this is going to start with my fiance, friends, and family that are in town this weekend. I mean, it's been a long year for my family and I, so it goes out this year with a big win. It feels amazing.
He's probably going to go help somebody is what he's going to do.
There's someone that needs it.
Carlos can be very dangerous off his back at times. Did you ever feel threatened when you were on top?
No, not at all. I mean, that's literally a position we drilled in practice over and over and over. And we got to the point that I was like, Coach, I'm done with the guard. I'm done doing these elbows over the top. I'm done controlling the wrist. Let me do something else. So my coach prepared me for every aspect of this fight, so I didn't see anything that surprised me out there.
Catching those kicks, is that something you started training more after the Larkin fight, or was Larkin just an off night for you?
No, he definitely pointed something out with the low kicks. He he did his homework. He pointed it out, and every guy that I fought since then has been attacking that lead leg. So I knew it was something that they would put in their game plan when they're getting ready to fight me. So I just had to adapt to it and get better. I can't allow my leg to get kicked out and not do anything about it. So I was ready to counter and make him pay for every leg kick he threw.
And you mentioned that it was a long year for your family. What did you mean by
that? Earlier this year, my brother was killed, so I've been dealing with that a lot this year. So it's just been something I just kind of try to hold in and not really show much, just like be strong for my family, strong for guys that look up to me. So as much as it affects me, I try not to show it day to day and affect it in any kind of way.
All right, so certainly the biggest win of Neil Magny's career, at least in terms of name recognition. He's had some big ones, man, a guy that seems to defy the odds sometimes. The preliminary card, Khalil Roundtree came up short against Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I didn't...
Nailed it.
Yeah, totally got it. Listen, man, Khalil, we had that great interview ahead of time. Khalil, a Vegas guy, and he was talking about kind of having to tap into his inner anger a little bit and come out and fight that way. And he did, man. He came out like a man possessed, just throwing bombs. He was wagging his chin a little bit, holding his hands down, just inviting a brawl. But he got tired very, very, very quickly. He started round 2 and round 3 with little bursts, but it was just obvious he was exhausted. And Oleksiejczuk, who came in here on short notice, picked up a huge win. Hell of a UFC debut for him.
Yeah, again, this is one of those fights that I barely saw because we were in the thick of it. It's so funny and strange where, post-fight, you want to weigh in on the action of the night, but that's where I suppose when you got the cage side seat, that's where you have the best eyes in from the media.
Yep.
Well, we're able to give you the perspective of the post-fight winners, right? Yep. And But yeah, look, we spoke about it again on the preview show. You were big on Khalil, talking about how he kind of, was a little peed off eventually coming off that loss to Tyson Pedro. And, since then he's kind of changed things and turned things around, got a couple of knockout wins. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. Didn't really know too much about Michael O. Coming into this fight.
Nobody did.
Or just Michael, if you're a member of the UFC staff that were introducing him at the official weigh-ins on Friday morning. But look, man, he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so hopefully that'll change following this fight. But I kind of spoke to him about perhaps fighting on the London card. He's Polish.
Yep.
Massive Polish community in London. That's the first European card slated for 2018. Looking at him backstage, couple of stitches over his eyebrow, but apart from that, not too bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's up and running in the UFC now.
Well, his manager told me, keep an eye out for my guy. He's he's tough as nails. He definitely proved it tonight. Miles Jury picked up the unanimous decision win over Rick Glenn. Miles Jury looked fantastic, man. He was just on point. He showed such just disregard for Rick Glenn. But as this thing went on, it basically looked like a sparring match, and he just looked so comfortable on the feet, like he wasn't worried about anything. And it was no disrespect to Rick Glenn; he wasn't being a jackass. But you can just see when people realize, oh my God, my timing's on point tonight. I see everything coming. I know it is. And Miles Jury was doing that, having beautiful counters. And Jury's one of those guys that is very talented and just kind of flies under the radar, man. He's got a hell of a career record. He had a couple of losses back to back. Charles Oliveira and Donald Cerrone, and I think maybe people kind of turned away from him a little bit, but the dude's the real deal, and he showed it tonight against Rick Glenn.
Yeah, Miles Jury's an interesting story because he took that he had that long layoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Took some time out of the game. He came back, didn't go too well in his first outing, but he's got a couple of wins now put together. He's enjoying life at featherweight. He's happy, and Miles Jury, he's one of those fighters where when you first saw him, you could see something special there. A potential, top elite level contender. I don't know if I'm quite there with him right now. I want to see more. In the post-fight interview, he talked about kind of going back to Alliance MMA, and it kind of just came about because he was at Stephen Thompson's wedding.
Right.
Stephen Thompson? Did I get that right?
Jeremy Stevens?
Jeremy Stevens.
Jeremy Stevens Thompson.
There you go. Jeremy Stevens Thompson's wedding just a couple of months ago.
I was like, what? How does that connect him to? All right, was it Wonder Boy?
Jeremy Stevens. Obviously, the frosty beverages are flowing here, and it's 3:30 in the morning. But yeah, he was at Jeremy Stevens' wedding just a couple of months ago, back in September, and he essentially just kind of hooked up with the old Alliance MMA kind of coaches, and they kind of he said they just hashed it out.
That's awesome.
And he was like, "Listen, I've got a fight coming up in about 8 or 9 weeks. Can you guys make some time for me?" They were like, "Hell yeah, we can."
Very cool.
And now he's back. And it's a bit of a feel-good story to come back to a gym. Everything seems to be put together. He's now going to be helping Jeremy Stevens for his fight against Joo Ho Choi. So he seems to be in a good spot. Couple of wins, back-to-back wins. Got the mojo running up again, and something to look forward to in 2018 in terms of Miles Jury in the featherweight division. And he's one of those guys that in the featherweight division, you get maybe 2 or 3 wins running together, and then you could get up there.
That next wave of
That's
talent
right,
at 145 pounds. All right, Amari Akhmedov and Marvin Vettori fought to a majority draw. Another weird one here with the scoring. Man, it sucks because when there's a couple of controversial scoring or ones I disagree with, I always go to MMAdecisions.com, man. I love that website, but right now it's down. I don't know if they're having some kind of server issues or what, but not working for me right now. I always like to see where it was. So this was the fight. It was a brawl. It was fun. The two dudes were just in there swinging. Omari, you talked about kind of tasty ceremonial weigh-ins. These guys kind of went at it a little bit too, and they came out and they brought these dudes were throwing bombs. I mean, just blasting each other. I scored the fight. The fight was scored 28-28 on 2 cards, leading to the majority draw. One was 29-28 Vettori, which is the way I had it. 2 rounds to 1. I don't know. Again, I hate it when I can't see if I'm just way off base in my scoring or if other people kind of had it the same way I did. But I did have this as a win for Vettori. I think everybody was, I know he was a little bit disappointed. Nobody likes to see a draw, but these two dudes went there and throw down. I don't think they have it sucks because neither one gets to pick up a win, but they both, I think, at least hopefully people enjoyed it. You didn't get to talk to either one of them backstage because they both were transported, I think, from my understanding, right? Or did they tell you guys if they transported them or if they just didn't bring them back?
We never got clarification on that. I personally didn't ask.
It was a damn brawl. I bet they both went to the hospital, to be honest with you, man.
Yeah, and look, if they're not too badly hurt in the next couple of weeks and months, again, I refer to the London card. They're, both, from
Russia versus Italy, run it back.
Exactly. Why not, right?
I'm down for that.
I'm
That's
down.
actually not a bad idea. It was a fun fight. Mateus Nicolau picked up a unanimous decision win over Louis Smolka. Holy crap, did Mateus look fantastic. And, again, I'll give Smolka credit, man, all heart. I did see him afterwards tweeting, he's not sure what his next move is. He doesn't know if he needs to move up a division or if he needs to address some things. He talked about the fact that he quit drinking going into this, fight because, he wanted to focus. And Smolka, again, another guy that had several opportunities to basically quit if he wanted to. If he wanted to get out of there, he was in some bad positions throughout the fight. But Nicolau just kept pressing and looked phenomenal, man. And the other thing I learned about Nicolau this week is he speaks really good English. I didn't know that. Fernanda had done some interviews with him, and I'd never spoken with him, so I just assumed he only spoke Portuguese. But his English is really good.
He did a full media scrum, English speaking with us first, and then he had a separate setup for the Brazilian media. That's how good his English was. It was fantastic. But going back to Smolka for a second, I don't know what's gone wrong here, John.
Right.
Because we were kind of funny. We were talking about this the other day, like just a couple of years ago. He was headlining the Dublin card against Paddy Holden. A little bit by default.
Albeit like the fourth choice.
Right,
but still.
Now this is his fourth loss in a row. So a loss against Brandon Moreno, a loss against Ray Borg, a loss against Tim Elliott, and now a loss against Mateus Nicolau.
Yeah.
Normally, typically, when you're got 3 losses in a row, 4 losses in a row, your UFC future looks pretty bleak. Now, going back to what Dana White said about potentially doing a 180 and hosting or holding an event in Hawaii, perhaps you give him one more shot, you stick him with the Fight Pass prelim if you are eventually going to go to Hawaii. Right? But yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit kind of like I don't know what to make of Louis Smolka because he's not exactly been putting on great performances. He's losing fights.
No, it's again I reward him for his toughness, his durability, for getting himself out of bad positions all the way to the end. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to win fights, right? I do like the idea of if that Hawaii show is going to happen, maybe he takes 6 months off until that's booked, and you just save him for that card, and he can work on whatever it is and fight there. All right, the card started out with Tim Elliott picking up a submission win over Mark De La Rosa. Listen, we talked about it at length going into this. I'm not going to lie. I don't cheer for fights, but just as a human being, I couldn't help but want the best for Tim Elliott. And, I think Mark De La Rosa is a talented kid, and I want him to have all the success in the future. His wife was there in his corner, Montana De La Rosa, and I wish all the best for both of them. But I will say, I thought Tim Elliott fought well tonight. I think he is the better fighter out of the two. But knowing all he had to deal with and everything that was going on, he talked about it, and I want to play it after we talk about this fight a little bit. But we'll just talk about the audio. I mean, when you guys talking backstage, he revealed that he practiced the cage walk with his team because he knew he was going to be upset. He knew how tough it was going to be, I don't know. The guy turned in, I thought, a great fight regardless, and he didn't sound like he was necessarily happy with himself, but I thought he had a great fight regardless. And then when you add in again what we know he was dealing with and just how weird this has been, and for him to admit he was drinking and having I don't know, man. The emotion was definitely evident in his time speaking with you guys. I thought Joe Rogan, classy the way he handled the post-fight interview, just one comment. And I thought it was cool that he opened up and let Tim just say whatever he wanted to say. But I thought for sure like Rogan would then follow up with something, and instead he just let it go, and that was all that was said. It was cool. Tim Elliott, as he walked by press row, actually just kind of kept his eyes down, like didn't make eye contact with anybody. It looked like he was still fighting back tears a little bit, but I was just happy for Tim Elliott.
Yeah, co-signed that. It's weird. I don't know why, but this fight week, I saw Tim Elliott almost every single day, 2 to 3 times a day. I just kept bumping into him more than any other fighter. It's
That's
just
crazy.
It's so strange, and like most of the time it was just him walking around by himself, and a couple of times it was with with his teammates and cornermen. I don't know why that kept happening. It's just one of those things. You're staying at the MGM, and the walk over to the T-Mobile, you kind of cross paths and things of that nature. But yeah, he revealed he'd been boozing. He got to Vegas on Christmas Eve, and he was just by himself. He was boozing, and this is just a week away.
Yeah,
a week away from his fight, right? And obviously, in the post-fight media scrum audio that you're about to play, he's asked about Robert Follis, and he talks about it. Actually, speaking about Robert Follis, kudos to the UFC. They had a graphic displayed. I don't know if it was at the start of the pay-per-view.
Start of the pay-per-view,
right?
yeah, just right before everything kicked off. It was, they didn't ask for a moment of silence or anything like that, but they brought down all the music, just threw the graphic up, in memory of Robert Follis. It was a very nice touch.
Yeah, good for the UFC for doing that. And we talked about what happens if Tim Elliott loses, right? Thank God, he won, and he credited the other coaches as well of really kind of being there as a support system for him, helping him, and just what I took away from that post-fight media scrum is he wants to kick on and push on from now, right? He wants to become a champion, and he doesn't want to waste the times and all the hours and the days and the weeks and the months spent in the gym under Robert Follis to be for nothing.
Yep.
He wants to use that, and that's his motivation now, to almost carry on fighting throughout his professional career, for Robert.
Right.
So yeah, it was just a real feel-good moment just to see him win and say, you know what, good for you, son.
It was. All right, let's hear from Tim Elliott, who kind of puts a bow on what's been a very difficult stretch for him.
It seems to be a very emotional fight for you. I know that you lost your jiu-jitsu coach 2 days ago. How do you feel? How do you feel there?
Man, he was much more than a jiu-jitsu coach. He was my MMA coach and one of my best friends. I feel good that I got the win, but I feel like it's not enough. I don't feel like I performed as well as I could have. I got emotional walking to the cage, which we tried to prevent. We practiced walking to the cage. I'm very lucky that I had the coaches with me that I did. The walks to the cage this morning before the fight to prepare for the walk to the cage tonight, I feel like that really helped me prepare to get out there without getting too emotional. I didn't want to have a dump before I got in the cage. I still had a little bit of an adrenaline dump when I got in there, but I have good guys in my corner. Even though Robert Follis isn't here yelling at me, everything that he ever said to me is still in my head, so it's still very fresh in my mind.
So, Tim, you actually played out the walk yesterday?
No, today before the fight, James Krause brought me in the hallway because I told him I was nervous about walking to the cage. I'm an emotional guy. I'm a passionate guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I didn't want that to affect my fight. The only time I really have my emotions in check is when I'm in the cage. So I didn't want to change from that. So before the fight, we put my walking music on. We did a countdown. We bounced around. We walked to the cage just like we would have before a fight. We stood at the cage. I took my shirt off, hugged my coaches. I walked in the cage, and I started doing my little dance that I like to do. So it wasn't the first time tonight that I walked to the cage and prepared for that. So again, that's all of my coaches. I have 3 great guys in my corner, and that pushed me through tonight.
What has this week been like for you? From checking, I know you've been asked about it a lot, but to go through all this after his passing so recently, what has it been like overall?
Man, it's been pretty rough. From the Canada fight, he was supposed to fly out with me Tuesday. I pushed his flight back to Thursday because he was going to be with Brian Caraway. Brian Caraway's fight fell through, so he called me, asked me to move the flight back to Tuesday. But it would have been another $700. So he said, "Don't worry about it." Flew to Winnipeg, and I didn't hear from him, so I knew something was wrong. Since then, I've been kind of on a little bit of a self-destructive path. I came out to Vegas early without my coaches, and I shouldn't have done that. I screwed around a little bit. I wasn't doing the things that a professional athlete should be doing, and that was a mistake I made. I should have never came out here without my coaches. As soon as my coaches got here on Tuesday, they slapped a little sense into me and put me back on the right path, doing the things that I should be doing to prepare for a professional MMA fight.
Do you consider pulling out of this fight?
James Krause told me that I shouldn't take the fight right away in Winnipeg. And my words to him was, I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste Follis's time. I put in a 2-month training camp with Robert. I spent every day with the guy. I took in a bunch of knowledge, a bunch of love, a bunch of support, and I didn't want to waste that. So, I came out here. Like I said, I was screwing around a little bit, and as soon as he got here, I told him I felt like, maybe I shouldn't have taken this fight. I cried a lot every day, and he told me, he said, you wanted this, you asked for it, you're a man of your word, and I did what I said I was going to do. And again, it's all my coaches. They're the guys who got me through this. I couldn't have done it on my own. I really believe that.
How would you describe now how you're feeling afterwards, after this whole emotional roller coaster comes to an end with a victory?
I feel like my adrenaline kind of dumped when I got in the cage. My arms were dead. I was going to bail on the choke. I was letting go of the Darce, and James Krause said, "That's tight. Stick with it. Chase the hips." And again, he knows way more than I do. And my best attribute in fighting is I can listen to my coaches. I put all my trust and all my faith into those guys. I know they know what's going on. So as long as I can just keep my mouth shut and my ears open, I feel like I can beat anybody.
How much did having your old coaches here at ICZAC, Cummings, James Krause, how much did that help you kind of pull through this? You talked about them pulling you out of the self-destruction.
It was everything. Like I said, my birthday was Christmas Eve, and then Christmas, I was here by myself. I was just drinking a lot, staying out all night, not sleeping. Those guys saved me. It's not the first time, though. It's nothing new. That's what friends do, and that's what coaches do, and I'm lucky to have those guys.
What did they say to you that kind of pulled you out of that funk?
Man, they didn't have to say anything. I knew what I was doing wasn't right, and the whole reason why I love Robert Follis so much, he holds his guys accountable. He's on the phone every day. What are you doing? What are you eating? What are you drinking? How much are you sleeping? And that's one of the reasons why I came up here to be around him. He's a full-time guy. He's a full-time coach. After the Ultimate Fighter and Demetrius Johnson, I was done fighting. I was on retirement. I figured, it wasn't for me. I fought the best guys in the world, and, the very best guys in the world, they beat me. So I thought maybe this wasn't for me. And, Robert believed in me fully. His only goal as a coach was to create a world champion. That's what he wanted to do as a coach. And, he told me that I was the guy. And he believed in me enough for both of us. So that's why.
What did you take into the octagon from Robert tonight?
Man, everything he ever said to me is still in my head. But again, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm good at taking orders. I just wish that I would have listened a little more, and I wish that I would have had a little more time. But I feel like the time that I did have with him was very special. And, I never questioned anything that he ever said to me, and I wouldn't question anything after what he's done.
Is there anything that you'd like to do as a tribute to Follis? Something that you maybe have planned in 2018?
Just stick with it, keep working hard, not screwing off so much, trusting my coaches, trusting myself.
Tim, there was a moment, I think it was either the first or second round, sorry, which one? Did he bite your hand, or there was a moment there was some grumbling? What happened there?
I said, my hand was stuck in his mouth, and I said that he was biting me, and he laughed, and he said, I wasn't biting you, I had my mouth open. And I said, well, why do you have your mouth open? He was like, all right. So we both had a little bit of a laugh. No big deal. I don't care. I mean, even if biting was legal, it's not that big a deal. It's a fight. So sometimes you get bit, sometimes you get kicked in the nuts, sometimes you get poked in the eye. That's just part of this game.
Any fight you want next?
I'm going to go back and talk with my coaches and try to get my mind right. Go back with my team and hug on my daughter and love on my daughter a little bit, and then we'll make a decision from there.
Speaking the way you do about your coaches and also about Robert, I know that you're still in the middle of your own career, but have you thought about a post-fight career and perhaps coaching down the road?
Man, I try not to think too much into the future. I want to focus on the now. I'm a live in the moment kind of guy, so I'm really trying to enjoy myself. And I had a 5-year plan. For the first time in my life, I had a set plan. Like, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be here with Robert Follis. I'm going to work to try to become a world champion. And for the first time ever, I thought that was a possibility. And then, it was a pretty huge blow after his passing. And I feel like I owe it to him to at least give it a shot. So I'm not focusing anything on the future other than my next opponent. And then, then I'll go from there.
All right, so Tim Elliott says, he was he had some harsh words for the UFC, but said that they're on good terms now. The UFC had done everything to make it right, and that was before he knew he was getting an extra $50,000 for a performance of the night bonus. So I gotta think at this point he's really excited and okay with the UFC. Obviously, still very difficult times for him. I think he's going to have some grief to deal with, but it does sound like he had the right attitude. Just to wrap it up, Khabib Nurmagomedov also picked up performance of the night bonus. No question there. That was incredible. Then Cyborg and Holm earned $50,000 apiece as well for the fight of the night. You guys, you touched on it earlier, but here you go. You guys were slammed all night last night. You had tonight, whatever. I mean, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning now. Ton of guest fighters. Michelle Watterson came back there. Volkan Ozdemir came back. Who else did you have back there? And did anything? Was there a line or two here or a fact or two that stood out to you? We're gonna have all this content. We'll be rolling out through the week. There's no event this week, so it works out great. I'm sure MMA India will have plenty of content, but I'm talking about MMA Junkie. We'll have all this stuff out, but give us a little tease, a little preview. Anything from the guest fighters that stood out to you?
Yeah, Uriah Faber was also one of them, and Sarah Kaufman. I thought it was a fantastic move by the UFC to give Sarah Kaufman a platform there to speak to a ton of media. Now, she is not a UFC fighter anymore. Right. She is fighting for Invicta. She's headlining their next card. Now, that fight's going to air on Fight Pass.
It's smart.
It's such a smart move. And Sarah's ultimate goal is to get back to the UFC. So here you have a ton of media because it's a pay-per-view, right? And she's out here talking about her Invicta debut.
Yep.
And I just thought that was a brilliant move by the UFC.
I'm telling you right now, and I've told them this, and again, I mean, not that A, they need to listen to me, and B, that they don't have other stuff going on. But I think the UFC needs a full-time PR person that just does PR for the organizations on Fight Pass. Basically help them. You know what I mean? Like help them with, if they're not good at writing press releases, help them. If they're not good at getting interviews for the people, pitch their people. Just pay a little bit extra money. Obviously you're not going to go crazy and spend inordinate travel costs, but if you could fly in a Victory FC headliner, you're going to tell me that somebody on those smaller cards, Titan or whatever it may be, wouldn't fly in, go to an event and fly out that night. Maybe you wouldn't even have to pay a hotel room, or maybe you pay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they should do stuff like that. I mean, Fight Pass, of course, the UFC content is always going to be the most valuable content on there, but you got all these regional promotions on. I think they should do stuff like that.
I totally agree. And that was kind of the standout moment from me, just seeing, wow, Sarah Kaufman's here talking about Invicta to all this media. I thought, brilliant. Good move, guys.
Yep.
Volkan Ozdemir was dressed pretty flashy, man.
Yeah.
Gucci belt, Gucci shoes, Versace belt, Versace shoes. Thank you, Abby Saban, for correcting me. I'm not.
I should say the MacLife.com crew's been over here working.
Working hard.
Yeah, since we were over here trashing. Well, you are MacLife right now, Abby. That's for right now. Okay. MMA Junkie's own Abby Subban, who is working for the MacLife this weekend, is there. But he'll be back. He'll be back with us. That's what's up. That's what's up.
So, again, look, Volkan Ozdemir, for the very first time in his career, was involved in a big pre-fight press conference yesterday, which was awesome to see. And now, again, being used and getting that platform to speak to a ton of media. Because at the end of the day, I think universally everyone's going to pick Daniel Cormier. But you can't go against what Ozdemir's done this year.
No
and
time.
listen, if he gets it done, right, if he upsets Daniel Cormier, knocks him out in the first round, right, then all of a sudden we've got a new player, a new superstar is born. And one of the questions I asked him was, look, changing your nickname to No Time, dressing the way you are right now, is this all kind of like a conscious decision on your part from, to express yourself in a certain manner, knowing that this is entertainment as much as it is sport?
Right.
And he's essentially said, look, everything I'm doing right now, it's me. It's all organic, right? The only difference is he's got more money to play with now. I like it. Volkan Ozdemir, No Time, definitely kind of, I suppose, I like what he's bringing to the table. The more we see him, and the more we hear from him.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, you think about the year that Volkan had. I mean, he starts off the year as a late replacement, fights Vince St. Preux. I remember I talked to him. That was the Super Bowl card down in Houston. I was the only media there. Nobody went to that, and from who knows. I mean, it's just, and that's why I love talking to these prelim fighters and talking to newcomers, just because you never know the journey that they're on, and it's fun to follow that rise. And this rise has been astronomical, man. If he can find some way to do it against Daniel Cormier, I mean, listen, DC's a beast, man. It's tough, but yeah, Vogel's good. He's, I think the first time I talked to him, like he was kind of nervous, like he didn't really do many interviews, and now he's having to do the big press conferences and all that. It's pretty cool stuff. So, all right, well, listen, that puts a bow, I guess, on UFC 219. That puts a bow on the year. It's New Year's Eve now. It's officially New Year's Eve, and yeah, Rizen's going on right now, but I don't have time to talk about that.
No.
I just want to have a few frosty beverages.
That's right.
Go to bed. You don't have to fly back to England, though. You're just flying to...
No, I'm flying to Toronto via Atlanta. And I actually just want to say, I really enjoyed this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of go back to some conversations we had kind of, throughout the week. And had we not, me and Abby, had the platform of contributing to MMA Junkie over the last 2-3 years, we wouldn't be sitting here right now working this event, albeit for different outlets.
Yeah.
And it's the first time me and Abby were able to cover an event together in Las Vegas, considering how long we've been in the game for.
Yeah.
And it's the very first Vegas event, right? And again, albeit for different outlets, like this guy's my day one partner in crime, right? Me and him, we started this game together from nothing but a YouTube channel, and all of a sudden John Morgan's looking at us put in the hustle in Stockholm, and next thing you know, we're contributing to MMA Junkie. It's been a whirlwind ride from the get-go, but I've really enjoyed it. And also actually want to give a shout out to the UFC PR team tonight, because I'm still kind of like, I'm a one-man team at the moment on the ground for MMA India. We don't have 2, 3, 4 guys kind of being able to do bits and pieces. It's all me, and I'm still kind of getting grips to being like a videographer and getting bits and pieces done backstage. But there was a technical issue that I really needed help with tonight. And the UFC PR team came through for me big time, strong.
That's awesome.
So I want to give them a shout out because they really helped me out tonight.
Very cool. Yeah, man, it was kind of bittersweet this week. It was happy to see both you guys over here. And it sucked to see you kind of working for other outlets or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, whatever helps you guys is good. You know what I mean? We can't have everybody, I guess, on our team. They've told me the budget will not allow that. Trust me, they have told me the budget will not allow that. So I was happy for you guys to be here in Las Vegas, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of you guys at some of these stateside events. So anyway, listen, it's time to enjoy a little bit of a holiday. I've got to get a few hours of sleep. You guys have got to get your travel done. So we'll just wrap it up, and I hope everybody has a happy New Year. And, of course, thanks for listening.